The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Human Rights and Justice for All. My name is Greg Malone. I welcome you to today's show. We have a great show planned for you here today, and it is about Malala Yousafzai. I believe I'm saying her last name right. She is a young girl who was shot by the Taliban for wanting to go to school and for standing up for those issues of women's education. So I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing with the show this morning, and also and a little bit about the Taliban, the group that ordered her murder. Obviously, they did not succeed, thank God, and I'll be touching on that. You can get a hold of me by contacting me at 315-744-0007. That's my personal cell phone number. You can leave a message, and I'll get back to you, or you can text me at that number. You can also reach me by emailing me at humanrightsandjusticeforall@gmail.com. Or you can look at my website. I built a pretty decent website using WordPress. It is humanrightsandjusticeforall.com. So you can go there and check out what I'm about. I've got a little bit of a bio page and all my links to Twitter and SoundCloud and all these different Spreaker, all these different links to different sites that I'm actually on right now. As I've mentioned before, and many of you may or may not know, the show is becoming more and more popular. If you search my name, Greg Malone, and human rights, or Greg Malone and abortion, or Greg Malone and Malala, I will show up as probably the first 5 to 10 posts on Google. And so, like I said, the show is starting to really take off. And as I work on the website, I would imagine it will become more and more popular as time goes by. And I believe that is through the grace of God that He is doing that. And as always, we are looking for support for the show. If you'd like to contact me at that phone number, 315-744-0007. You can give through PayPal or credit cards or any other way you would like to give to help to support the show to continue this. It is quite expensive. I am paying all expenses out of my pocket. I'm not begging for money. If the Lord leads you to do it, do it. If not, don't worry about it, man. He's got my back, so I'm not worried about it. And I trust you're having a great day, and that God is blessing you as He is blessing me. I have a little quote here to start the show with. It says, "Those who do not move do not notice their chains." This is written by Rosa Luxemburg, and she was a Russian activist from 1870 to 1919. But it's a pretty interesting statement, and it applies directly to what's happening in Pakistan and with regard to girls' education around the world, and any issue we find ourselves in that we are trapped by. If we don't move, we will never notice our chains. And so I implore you today, if you are trapped in a situation, you need to move. And get to a new location where or a different state of mind, so that you won't be held in chains by your situation or what you find yourself in. And God can help you with that. And if you pray to Him, He will certainly do so. If you'd like to have help with this, you can always contact me at humanrightsandjusticeforall@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 315-744-0007. So I'd like to go over first a little bit of the treatment of women by the Taliban. This will give you some understanding of how they could shoot this little 14-year-old girl in the head and two of her friends. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but that two of her friends were shot by the Taliban on the bus that day, and it's kind of a harrowing story, and I'll be reading about that in just a little bit. But I just wanted to go over the Taliban treatment of women. This is taken from Wikipedia. It's right on the internet. You can type in Wikipedia, Taliban treatment of women, and this article will pop up. It is quite extensive and quite eye-opening for everyone that listens to this or reads this. I'm going to start out with reading the first paragraph. While in power in Afghanistan, the Taliban became notorious internationally for their sexism. The stated aim of the Taliban was to create a secure environment where the chasteness and dignity of women may once again be sacrosanct. And we'll find out a little later on in this article of what they really mean by this statement. Afghan women were forced to wear the burqa at all times. That's the clothing that covers completely their whole body, including the head and face. So they were told to wear that at all times because, according to one of the Taliban spokesmen, the face of a woman is a source of corruption for men not related to them. So this is a very narrow world view for this gentleman to state this, that the face of a woman is a source of corruption. And ladies out there, maybe you've never thought of that in quite that manner. And I don't mean to laugh at this, but holy cow! I mean, this is where these people are coming from, and they're dead serious. I mean, dead serious. They will kill you if you do not believe the way they believe. So women were not allowed to work. They were not allowed to be educated after the age of 8, and they were permitted only to study the Quran. Now, part of this, they weren't able to work. What happened is when they made it so that women could not work in Pakistan, most of the schools closed in Pakistan, the boys' schools and the girls' schools, because most of the teachers were women. So they pretty much shut down the educational institution by some of their edicts that they made, and the Pakistani government went along with this until Malala was shot, and now they've changed their tune and are starting to go the other way. Women seeking education were forced to attend underground schools where their teachers risked execution if caught. They were not allowed to be treated by male doctors unless accompanied by a male chaperone, which led to illnesses remaining untreated. They faced public flogging and execution for violation of Taliban laws. The Taliban encouraged marriage for girls under the age of 16. Amnesty International has reported that 80% of Afghan marriages were considered to be arranged by force. And I've seen articles on this where they've shown 8-year-olds married to 40-year-olds, and they go into depth in the stories of how these little girls were married to these men. And it just is a really perverse and sexist society. And it's all about the men's lust and desire, most of what I see from this, for what the Taliban are doing. From the age of 8, females were not allowed to be in direct contact with men other than close blood relatives, husbands, or in-laws. And they call them maharam, M-A-H-R-A-M, and the definition of a maharam is a male relative of the girl or woman who that they would be restricted of having sex with this person because it was taboo or it would be an incestuous relationship. So that is the basis of a maharam, who they were supposed to be with at all times out in public. And again, women should not appear in the streets without a blood relative and without wearing a burqa. Women should not wear high-heeled shoes, as no man should hear a woman's footsteps lest it excite him. So we're getting a little bit more towards the crux of what this whole thing's all about. Women must not speak loudly in public, as no stranger should hear a woman's voice. All ground and first-floor residential windows should be painted over or screened to prevent women from being visible from the street. So we're saying there's a lot of peeping toms over there. Is that what we're saying? The photographing or filming of women was banned, as was displaying pictures of females in newspaper, books, shops, or the home. Now this is apartheid. This is sexism and apartheid, where they are just separating women in their society and having them kept in their house. They are property, and it is tantamount to slavery. That's what they are doing, is enslaving women in this country. Modification of any place names that include the word women, for example, Women's Garden was renamed Spring Garden. So anything referring to a woman, they had done away with it. Now, this kind of sounds like Germany during the time of the Nazis, when they took everything Jewish away and forbid it to be seen. Women were also forbidden to appear on the balconies of their apartments or houses, and they had a ban on women's presence on radio, television, or at public gatherings at any time. And again, this is the reason Malala was shot, was because she spoke out on radio, television, and at public gatherings, and she basically became a target of the Taliban. Okay. Also, the mobility of women is strictly banned and strictly restricted. Like I said, they have to only go out with their mahanim or their close male relatives. So if you're wondering why women comply with all these strict rules, and I'll give you some examples of the punishments meted out to these women. I'm not going to take a long time on this, but I just wanted to let you know what some of the things that they do. Punishments against women were often carried out publicly, either as formal spectacles held in sports stadiums or town squares or spontaneous street meetings. Civilians lived in fear of harsh penalties, as there was little mercy. Women caught breaking decrees were often treated with force. Here's some of the examples, and this again is from that article, Taliban Treatment of Women, on Wikipedia. You can look it up right now, and there's pictures in here that I'm not going to describe. Anyway, in October of 1996, a woman had the tip of her thumb cut off for wearing nail varnish. In December of 1996, Radio Shari announced that 225 Kabul women had been seized and punished for violating the Sharia code of dress. So they rounded up 225 women. The sentence handed down by the tribunal, and the women were lashed on their legs and backs for their misdemeanor. So 225 women were snagged and beaten because they didn't comply with the dress code. In May of 1997, 5 female Care International employees, with authorization from the Ministry of the Interior to conduct research for an emergency feeding program, were forced from their vehicle by members of a religious police. The guards used a public address system to assault and harass the women before striking them with a metal and leather whip over 5 feet in length. In 1999, a mother of 5 was executed in front of 30,000 spectators in Kabul's Ghazi Sports Stadium for allegedly murdering her abusive husband. And they show a picture of the gunman with pointed at the back of her head while she's kneeling in the middle of the stadium. And she was in prison for 3 years and extensively tortured prior to her execution, yet she refused to plead her innocence in a bid to protect her daughter, reportedly the actual culprit. When the Taliban raid discovered a woman running an informal school